right now, as you're reading this, there's a good chance you're doing something your body was never designed to do. You're not fasting, you're not on a diet, you're just eating normally. 3 meals a day, maybe a snack or two, food never more than a few steps away. Totally normal, totally modern, and totally alien to almost every human who ever lived. Because here's the thing nobody tells you about intermittent fasting, that trendy biohacker 16 hours no food thing your coworker won't shut up about. It's not new, it's not clever, it's not a hack, it's just Tuesday for roughly 2 million years of human existence. Your ancestors were doing it constantly. They just didn't have a name for it, an app to track it, or any choice in the matter. They were fasting without knowing they were fasting. And the wildest part? Their bodies, which are basically your body, evolved a whole set of secret operations that only switch on when the food stops. Cellular repair crews, fat-burning engines. A kind of internal spring cleaning that scientists only fully understood recently, and that won someone a Nobel Prize. You've got all of that machinery inside you right now, fully installed, rarely used. So the question isn't really did ancient humans fast? The question is stranger and a little more uncomfortable. What were their bodies doing during all that hunger that ours have forgotten how to do? Let's find out. And I promise you, by the end, you're going to look at your own next meal completely differently. First, let's kill a myth. The cartoon version of a caveman has him gnawing on a giant turkey leg, grease everywhere, gorging, and sure, sometimes that happened. But that image gets the rhythm of ancient eating almost exactly backwards. Ancient humans did not eat 3 balanced meals a day. There was no breakfast, there was no lunch break, there was no fridge to raid at midnight. There was, did we catch something today or didn't we? Food came in unpredictable bursts. A big hunt might mean a feast, everyone eating enormous amounts in a short window because the meat would rot otherwise. And then, maybe nothing substantial for a day. 2 days, sometimes longer. The gathering could carry you, roots, berries, nuts, but that was work, and it wasn't guaranteed either. Some anthropologists estimate that foragers likely had frequent days of drastically reduced eating built right into normal life. So the actual pattern of ancient human eating wasn't 3 squares a day. It was feast, then famine, then feast again. A jagged line, not a smooth one. Boom, nothing, boom, nothing, and that jagged rhythm, that unpredictable, involuntary, no choice about it rhythm, is the exact thing your body was tuned to expect. For basically all of human history, the normal state wasn't fed. It was somewhere between meals, often a long way between them, which means the way you eat right now, constant and reliable and steady, is the true experiment, not theirs. But okay, they went hungry a lot. So what? Hungry is just hungry, right? You feel it, it's unpleasant, you eat when you can. Where's the hidden machinery I promised? Here's where it gets good. Because when you stop eating, your body doesn't just sit there, waiting, growling, doing nothing. It runs a countdown. And each stage of that countdown unlocks a different survival mode. Let me walk you through what's happening inside you when the food stops. Because your ancestors ran this exact sequence constantly, and most of us today almost never do. For the first few hours after a meal, you're running on sugar. Simple, your body's got glucose floating around from what you just ate, plus a backup reserve stored in your liver and muscles called glycogen. That's your easy fuel, your everyday tank. But that tank is small. And here's the number that matters. Your liver's glycogen supply typically runs dry somewhere around 18 to 24 hours into a fast. Give or take, it depends on the person, their activity, how much they ate, but roughly a day and the easy fuel is gone. Now your body has a decision to make, and this is the moment everything changes. Because you can't just stop. Your brain needs fuel every single second or you die. So when the sugar runs out, your body flips a switch it inherited from 100,000 hungry ancestors. It starts breaking down fat, your stored fat, that stuff on your belly and hips you've maybe cursed 1,000 times, and converting it into a new kind of fuel called ketones. This state has a name. Ketosis, and people pay good money and suffer through strict diets to reach it on purpose today. Your ancestors hit it by accident on a random Thursday because the hunt went badly. Measurable ketosis generally kicks in somewhere between 12 and 48 hours of fasting. Again, it varies a lot between people. But think about what that timing means. If ancient humans regularly went a day or more between real meals, they were dipping in and out of fat-burning mode as a normal feature of being alive. Not a diet, not a discipline. Just a natural consequence of a world where food didn't show up on schedule. Your fat wasn't decoration, it was a fuel tank your body was designed to actually use regularly, and most of us have simply stopped using it. We top up the sugar tank before it's ever empty, every few hours. All day. We never let the countdown finish, we never flip the switch, the tank is full. The engine's been sitting in the garage for years. But burning fat is just the survival part, the part your body does to keep you alive. That's not even the strange thing. The strange thing, the thing that genuinely reshaped how scientists think about fasting, is what your cells start doing when the food stays gone a little longer. And this is where the whole story turns into something you won't expect. Let me introduce you to a word, autophagy. It comes from Greek and it literally means self-eating. And no, that's not as grim as it sounds. It might be the most beautiful thing your body does. Here's the idea. Every cell in your body accumulates junk over time, damaged parts, broken proteins, worn out components, cellular debris. Think of a workshop where nobody ever takes out the trash. Over months and years, that clutter builds up and it's linked to aging and disease. Autophagy is the cleanup crew. It's a process where the cell identifies its own damaged parts, breaks them down, and recycles the pieces into new working components. Self-eating. The cell devours its own garbage and rebuilds from the scraps. Your body is a workshop that, under the right conditions, cleans itself and reuses its own broken tools. And what triggers this cleanup crew to clock in? One of the biggest triggers is, you guessed it, going without food. When nutrients are scarce, the cell can't afford to be wasteful, so it turns inward. It starts scavenging its own damaged parts for raw materials. Scarcity forces the spring cleaning. Now here's the part that should give you chills. This isn't fringe wellness nonsense. In 2016, a Japanese scientist named Yoshinori Ohsumi won the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for figuring out how autophagy actually works at the genetic level. A Nobel Prize for the science of how your cells eat themselves clean when they're hungry. And these autophagy genes, they're ancient. So ancient they show up across an enormous range of living things. The same basic recycling program running in yeast, in mice, in you. This is deep, deep evolutionary machinery. It was running in our ancestors long before they were even human. Which brings us to the quiet punchline of this whole thing. Your ancestors, going hungry between hunts, weren't just surviving the famine. Their cells were using the famine. The hunger was doing something for them, triggering repair, clearing out cellular junk, keeping the whole system tuned. Hunger wasn't only the problem. Sometimes it was the maintenance. They were getting a full body tune-up they never asked for and never noticed, powered entirely by the fact that dinner didn't always show up. And that sets up the real twist. Because so far, this all sounds like a happy story, doesn't it? Ancient humans fasted, their bodies self-cleaned, everyone was lean and tuned up and thriving. Fasting good, eating constantly bad. Simple, now flip the entire thing around. Because here's what we've been quietly skipping. Your ancestors didn't fast because it was healthy. They fasted because they were starving. There's a monstrous difference, and it changes everything. We look back and see intermittent fasting and think how elegant, how natural, how wise their bodies were. But strip away the modern wellness varnish and look at what was actually happening. A parent lying awake because the children hadn't eaten in 2 days. A hunt that failed and failed again, and the slow terror of watching the food run out with no supermarket, no backup, no guarantee it would ever return. The autophagy, the ketosis, the cellular cleanup, none of that was the point. It was a side effect. It was your body making the absolute best of a catastrophe it desperately wanted to escape. We turned their nightmare into our wellness trend. Think about that. The single most stressful, frightening experience of ancient human life, not knowing if you'd eat, is the exact thing we now schedule on purpose, track on an app, and brag about at the office. We voluntarily recreate the hunger our ancestors would have done nearly anything to avoid. But here's the reversal inside the reversal, and it's the part that actually matters. Both things are true at once. Fasting really did help their bodies. The science is real, the Nobel Prize is real, the repair mechanisms are real, and it came wrapped in genuine suffering they never chose. Which means the lesson isn't starve yourself, it's natural. The lesson is subtler and stranger. Our bodies were built to function across a range, fed and unfed, feast and famine, plenty and scarcity. We evolved to swing between both. And modern life has quietly deleted one entire half of that swing. Let's be careful and honest here, because this is exactly where these stories go wrong. The takeaway is not that you should starve yourself, or that hunger is virtuous, or that eating is some modern sin. It isn't. If you have any history with disordered eating, please hear me clearly. This is history and biology, not a diet plan, and the healthiest thing is to talk to an actual doctor before changing how you eat. The ancient pattern was born of desperation, not wisdom, and romanticizing starvation is its own kind of trap. But there's still something worth sitting with. For virtually all of human history, emptiness was normal. The space between meals was where the body did some of its quietest, most important work. And we've engineered that space almost entirely out of modern life. Not through some grand plan, but simply because we got so good at feeding ourselves that we forgot the value of the pause. We didn't lose a battle with hunger, we won it so completely that we erased its shadow. And maybe that's the strangest thought of all. Every one of your ancestors, going back further than we can count, spent their lives on a pendulum, swinging between having and not having, full and empty, feast and famine. Their bodies expected that swing, depended on it, were shaped, cell by cell, by both halves of it. You are the first kind of human in history to live almost entirely on one side of that swing. Never truly empty, never really waiting, never running the countdown to the end. Your ancestors fasted without knowing it, and you feast without knowing that. Either the difference is they had no choice. You do. And understanding why your body is the way it is, why the fat stores, why the cravings, why the machinery for scarcity is still humming quietly inside you, waiting for a famine that never comes, that understanding is something no ancient human ever got to have. They lived the mystery. You get to actually see it. Maybe that's the real gift hiding at the bottom of all this. Not a diet, not a hack, just a strange privilege of finally understanding the body 2 million years of hunger built for you, and getting to decide with a full fridge and a clear head what to do with it.